All right, we are live, back at it again. Episode 2 of Boys Bet Ball. And I'm in a little bit different location right now. Right now, I'm actually not even in the country. I'm in Mexico City. A little bit of business, a little bit of pleasure, but bienvenidos a Mexico. Practicing my Spanish. But yeah, you got Spencer here again, wearing the Dodgers jersey. We'll get into the World Series and the Dodgers, what's happening with them. But you were at the game yesterday, weren't you?
I was at the game. Me, my dad, and my younger brother were at the game. Never been to a World Series game. We were considering Monday or Tuesday. Tuesday kind of worked out. Kind of wish I went to the Monday game because with those World Series prices, you get 2 for 1. With that game going 18 innings, and last night's game unfortunately didn't go our favor. So we got a big game tonight, pivotal game 5, and Blake Snell on the mound.
Yeah, well, we'll get into the World Series, but I saw this funny meme. It was like, because that Monday game was crazy. I didn't watch it, but I woke up in the morning with everyone posting about it, going, what, 18 innings, right? And literally the people at the game, obviously Dodgers fans in Dodger Stadium, super excited. But then the meme was, well, the game ended at like 1 or 2 a.m. or something like that, and then you got to sit in traffic for another 2 hours.
Yeah, we left a little early. Didn't really think there was going to be a big comeback, so beat a lot of the traffic.
Yeah, you got to do what you got to do sometimes. But we're slowly making a little upgrades here and there. Spencer, I don't think you've seen the thumbnail yet, but the thumbnail, actually, I had ChatGPT generate that. That's actually pretty good. I'm surprised at what it could give me. So we'll update that. You see the little banners and stuff. We'll be slowly upgrading uh, and improving the streams as we go along. So let us know in the comments, like I said in the banner right there, what you want to see in our future streams. We always want to make every single stream a little bit better. But I guess we can kind of go ahead and hop into it. College football. What a week we had. Obviously, both of us BYU alum, so we were extremely happy. Uh, if you follow my Twitter, so follow my X. I guess it's called X now, but I posted like what I was betting for that game. We're going on a Vegas trip in a couple weeks, so I'm kind of like saving a lot of my betting until then. Then I'm kind of gonna go full board on it again. Just building up my bankroll at the moment, but I got the Cougs money line. I always say to bet early, not before the game starts, but make the game a little bit more interesting. I bet right before the game. So I don't even know what the opening lines were, but I got a little bit of CLV from the closing lines. I got plus 126 on the Cougs. They were at Iowa State in Ames, and I had 2 bets, so that was my first bet for half a unit. And then my other bet, I love kicker props. If any of you know me, or you will get to know me, I love my kicker props. Shout out to a guy named Toast who kind of like always bet on kicker props, but was like Will Ferrin. His line was 6.5 points. So I was like, he'll easily kick 2 field goals, and then they'll score like a touchdown at least. So that felt like was a no-brainer. He ended up kicking 11 points, so boom, cashed that one too. So it was a pretty good weekend for me. The Cougs won in blowout fashion in names, which is kind of surprising. If anything, it was definitely not a BYU spot. It was 100% an Iowa State spot, them coming off the bye. BYU kind of banged up, LJ Martin leaving partway through the game, but Iowa State kind of fell apart. Rocco Beck, he's a super solid quarterback, and he just kind of pooped his pants and was a pick machine that game.
Yeah, I wasn't following the game or I wasn't watching the game. I was following a little bit on my phone. Ended up being a blowout for BYU. BYU being the dogs, but I don't think the whole game was that. I think the first play from scrimmage, Iowa State threw had a 75-yard touchdown, and we were down 10 points in the first half, and I think maybe even going into halftime. And I think I just saw BYU did a punt, and they didn't muff the punt, rather. One of their return team members, it hit his foot, and we were able to recover it. So basically just get the ball back in great field position. So just little stuff like that. And yeah, I thought BYU was going to lose the week prior to Utah at home. They ended up winning that game, and couldn't really pick myself to bet against them, but also wasn't confident, as Mike said, with Iowa State coming off a bye. But yeah, this week they have a bye, and then gearing up for a huge game against Texas Tech in Lubbock, Texas. So that should be a big test for us.
Yeah, that'll be a crazy game. I have a couple of friends actually going to Lubbock for the game. I unfortunately did not want to make the 6-7 hour drive from Austin to Lubbock. So I'll be watching it from the comfort of my own home. But yeah, crazy week. Got to back the boys. If you saw the Cougs last season, couldn't bet against them because it kept winning. And then I think the same thing's kind of this year. You kind of bet on them until they prove otherwise. And if you did the math of if you were to bet on them, even just money line, not even spread when they're favored, money line, and then parlayed that into every single week, you'd have insane amounts of money, even if you're doing $10 or whatever on the first bet. So go Cougs. That's all I got to say. As far as other college football games, there's a ton. We're not going to go over each game. One thing I really wanted to highlight was the pure disrespect. People think the SEC is god tier football conference, and Dave Portnoy had something to say about it, and I'll add my own commentary a little bit after it. But let me share my screen real quick. Let's see.
Big 12 rep. They're one play away.
Are you able to hear the auto?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So let's back up a little bit. So Dave Portnoy, he's on Big Noon a lot. So there's the two big, I guess, the first one's ESPN College Game Day, where they go to different college campuses for the best game of the week or the best storyline of the week, whatever they say. And then Big Noon does the exact same thing, but they go to a different campus. Shout out to Dave Portnoy and Big Noon. They came to BYU for the Holy War. Hands down, they loved it. And anyone who did not go to school at BYU or been to Provo before that went for the game absolutely loved it. It's definitely a top tier game day experience. A little bit different because you don't have a lot of the tailgating a lot of the other schools have, but phenomenal. But Dave Portnoy, he backs us up right here. The Big 12 getting no respect.
Dave, there is a conference out there that I think folks should be giving a little bit more love and respect to. Well, yeah, I mean, the top 10 rankings, if you look at, we got 6 teams with a loss in it. And then you got BYU sitting there undefeated in the Big 12, not in the top 10. It's disgusting. And the thing about it, this isn't just me talking out of my butt here. Last year, what happened? Arizona State, they're the Big 12 rep. They're one play away. They should have beaten Texas. Texas almost beats Ohio State, who won the national title. I don't know why the Big 12 doesn't get any respect. Their teams can play with any of the teams in the SEC or Big 10, the top of the conference. They get absolutely no respect on a national scale. If you're undefeated, games on the field matter. I care about who has more points at the end of the game, not hypotheticals. And you guys talk in this.
Okay, I'll stop it there. But essentially, he kind of goes on to say game, he said the phrase games on the field matter. Basically, he's kind of saying undefeated teams should be ranked above other teams that have either one loss or multiple losses. In BYU's case, a lot of the teams over them are SEC teams, but they have one loss, and BYU's undefeated. I get his point on that, and I actually don't agree with him necessarily on that. An undefeated team should necessarily be over a certain team that has one loss, depending on what their one loss was. But I would say the amount of disrespect, I think anyone who's not in the SEC, even the Big Ten, so definitely that applies to the Big 12 and any other conferences, is they don't get the love from the AP voters. So if you were to see the past AP poll, which I don't know if I have it on my tweet right now. Okay, well, this is kind of a screenshot of, oh no, that's basketball. This is football. So this is like the past week 9 AP top 25. You have BYU, and you actually don't see here, but they put BYU. That was like they couldn't diss BYU anymore, but they kind of still did by putting BYU tied with Miami for the number 10 spot in the nation. And then you have all the other teams, Vanderbilt, Ole Miss, Oregon, all these other one-loss teams. I'm all for OSU, Ohio State being first, honestly, even though Indiana might have better wins, but that's beside the point. Yeah, that they give SEC the benefit of the doubt over these other conferences. That's why I'm a big believer, and this is my kind of my final rant on this. I think they need to make non-conference games great again. Basically, and I know like a lot of these SEC teams, what their strategy is, because they have such a tough in-conference schedule, because their conference is pretty competitive. But I'd argue other conferences are getting a lot more competitive, and SEC is not solely by far. I still think they're the best conference as far as football, but they're not as good as in years past, and as big of a gap between them and other conferences. But I think there needs to be better non-conference games, because a lot of these teams will schedule super cupcake schedules. Like big one, Texas. I live in Austin, and I've seen the teams that they schedule and play against. You play against a UTEP. They play against a UTSA. Like, come on, these are like borderline FCS schools, and they're putting them on the schedule just so that they can get an easy W. Basically, it's an exhibition, a practice for them. Their practice squad's probably better than the starters on those other teams. But I think there needs to be better non-conference games. Typically, teams might have one good non-conference game they play, but they usually just pad it with an easy schedule, just because they focus so much on the conference games. But that's my little rant. I don't know if Spencer, if you want to add anything to it.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's my biggest hang-up with college football, let alone there being, I mean, in the NFL or professional sports, most of the time it's, 30 to 32 teams, hundreds of schools in college football, and they don't all play the same teams. As Mike said, you have your conference play, but before that you have a couple games non-conference play. And it's just hard to compare apples to apples in comparison to, professional sports teams, where there's a small amount of teams that you're able to play, and you're able to kind of compare, okay, well, like the Browns beat the Patriots by 19 points. Who else played the Browns, and how much did they beat them by convincingly? Because, I mean, even with pro sports, it's just record, but with college football, like as Mike said, Ohio State's 7-0, Indiana's 8-0, but Indiana people can say they have more quality wins, but it's just hard to compare it because they're not playing the same teams.
Yeah, so I agree with Dave in the aspect that other conferences need to get a lot more love. Even over the weekend, I was watching the Memphis USF game, and their conference is pretty competitive, or as far as like their top teams. And I'd argue most conferences are very top heavy. American Conference, it's always like USF this year. Memphis typically is always good every year. SEC, it's always the Tennessees, the Alabamas, the Georgias. Vanderbilt's a very big surprise this year. Big 12 is actually one of those teams. I'd say it's still, most conferences obviously are a little bit top heavy. Big 10, Ohio State, Oregon. I don't even know who else is good in the Big 10. Honestly, I'm still surprised like Georgia Tech is above BYU. BYU has way better wins, but because they were ranked ahead of BYU prior and haven't lost the game. Got to take that into consideration. But anyways, I think there should be better non-conference games, especially since they only play once a week. Just my opinion. All right, let's go ahead and move on to the NBA. We're going to review NBA wins-loss standings. Let's see here. Like, did you mean like our standings or like the actual standings?
Yeah, so just like we did the draft last week, so just going over, how our teams are performing and any commentary. So do you want to pull it up?
I mean, I have like the actual NBA standings. Yep.
Do you have the drive?
Oh, yeah, let me pull it up. One moment. Here, account. Pull that up real quick. All right, but yeah, I mean, there's lots of surprising teams. Like, when we're going to talk about kind of like overreactions and Philly, man. Philly's a big surprise. VJ Edgecombe, potential rookie of the year. Cooper Flag's not
One of my last
off to a
picks.
great start. Yeah, but here I'm pulling up the standings right now. But there's a lot that happened this past week. I mean, we could even we're probably not gonna spend a lot of time on it. We'll just touch on it. But like the gambling scandal, that whole thing, like literally 2 days in the NBA, that something like that happened is actually wild.
Yeah, and a lot of people are saying these NBA players are going super hard right now. You're seeing multiple 40, 50-point games because nobody wants to be accused of fixing any games. So it's been pretty fun basketball and a lot of storylines.
It definitely has. I don't know why it's loading, I think, for me right now. Might be overloading my laptop right now. Again, are you able to present? I'm not sure if you are.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you want to go ahead and pull it up.
Can you see that?
Yeah.
Cool. I can zoom in a little bit. Zooming in on. I don't even know how you zoom in on here. Cool. So yeah, these are our current standings based off the draft from last week. You can see. Yeah, we could just talk about it. Thunder are 5-0, but all of those wins were not easy. Opening night went into double overtime, and then NBA Finals rematch against a Halliburton-less Pacers. They also went to double overtime, I believe. So seems like they're getting back on track. They are missing J-Dub, but definitely was a great first overall pick by Mike. Other big surprises, we see San Antonio. I think Michael's second to last pick or at least last pick in terms of wins. They are 4-0. We're definitely going to get into Wemby after touching on these standings. Possibly the future face, or not even the future, the current face of the league. Just absolutely incredible start to the season. Mike's last pick, the Heat. It's early, so it's probably an overreaction, but 3-1, wide open East. Maybe they make a deal before the deadline to try to go all in just because of how open the East is. Jazz might have been your first, or was your first losing pick, and they are 2-1.
Yep, 2-1.
Like once again, we're very, very early into the season, but they.
I will. Marketing, man. 51 point career high. So
Yeah, most points by a Jazz player since 1998, which was Stockton and Malone era. So maybe Ainge's son, who they brought in, I forget his first name, but he said they will not be tanking this year, and so far so good. Other big surprises: Warriors were my last winning team pick. They're 4-1. I don't know if I want to buy their stock right now. I don't know if Al Horford as your center and really your only center is enough, especially in the West where they have tons of bigs. But they're off to a great start. And Philly, I know Mike was a little Philly fan for a second, with Harden being there for a couple of years. You want to talk about the Sixers?
yeah, man, Philly. What can you say about them? They grabbed VJ Edgecombe out of Baylor with the number 3 pick, I believe, and he had the biggest debut of any player since Wilt for like in the past 100 years. That's crazy. He had 34 points and followed up his second game. If I pull up there, like what he's averaging right now, but yeah, I think they found a great player in VJ Edgecombe. Obviously, he's super young, super athletic, can finish, can shoot threes. He's kind of shown it all, and his ability for as well for like offensive skill set. And one thing that I kind of noticed, I was listening to a couple other NBA podcasts, and they were mentioning, especially with Joel Embiid playing very limited minutes, and especially a lot of the early games, they're running at a super fast pace, which perfectly play into their backcourt of Tyrese Maxey and then VJ Edgecombe, because they're both talented young players who want to play really fast, have always played really fast, can finish well, they've added the 3 ball to their offensive tool belt, and they want to get up and down the floor, and they're able to do that with their young backcourt, and especially without Joel Embiid playing. So that Sixers have been a very big surprise so far during the season. Granted, I will say their 4 wins have been against the Wizards, which honestly the Wizards have been playing pretty decent ball. Like I have Keyshawn George on my fantasy basketball team. He's on his second year out of Miami, and that guy, he's starting to be possibly one of their best players.
He is their best player.
Yeah, well, yeah, you could probably say he's their best player. He's a 6'8", 6'9" point forward that can shoot threes. So he's been a big surprise. But that win coming over the Wizards, and then they played the Magic, which I'm hoping the Magic will get their groove. They're one of my picks for wins, and they started off like 1-3, 1-2. The Hornets, which are kind of a surprise too. The Hornets are actually 3-1 or something like that. They have a winning record currently, and then the Celtics. We'll talk about the Celtics and what they need to do, but some of their teams they've played kind of questionable, so it'll be interesting to see how they match up against like a New York. But like Spencer said, the East is wide open. There's not really a clear-cut favorite, honestly.
Yeah, I think it's cool as we did this draft for our first show to just review it every week during our show and just see where it's at. In case anyone needs a refresher, you get a win. One for every win your winning team gets, you get a point, and for every loss one your losing team gets, you get a point. So the current tally is I'm up by 6, 37-31. Obviously, there's a lot of basketball to play, but yeah, definitely some early surprises with Sixers and even my Bulls. Bulls are my last pick, and they are undefeated. So maybe they aren't stuck in mediocrity this year. Left to be seen.
Yeah, we'll see.
For sure.
All right. What are some of your biggest week 1 overreactions?
I don't even know if it's an overreaction, but I mean, we were texting during the Spurs-Mavs game. I know you were pretty bullish on the Mavs winning their first game with capture the flag, Cooper flag. But that game, I watched it with my dad, and yeah, Wemby looked like a 7'5" Kobe Bryant, 7'5" Trace McGrady. He hit this one during this one possession. He blocked Daniel Gafford, I think, shot. Just absolutely just took it out of the air. Went up the court at the top of the key, kind of broke him down between the legs, behind the back, step back three. The guy goes underneath him, swishes it. So 3-pointer and 4-point play. And I was just like, a center, let alone a 7'5" center, should not be able to do that. And he has been on an absolutely torrid pace. And I'll admit it that when he first came into the league, I didn't want to buy his stock completely. People were saying best prospect since LeBron James. They said that about Zion, and we've seen how Zion's career has progressed. But this guy seems like he is mature. Basketball is his number one priority. You see his off-season work with the Monks and going to NASA. He's built for this, and I will eat my words. I think he's the front runner for MVP.
Yeah, I think he's the front runner for MVP and Defensive Player of the Year right now. Yeah, definitely my overreaction. Like, he is by far the face of the league right now. No matter how good SGA is, no offense. Well, it's just the whole James Harden dilemma as well. At that point, in 2018, 2017, I would argue as well. Even 2019, during that 3 to 4 year span, James Harden was one of the big faces of the league because he just score so many points, and SGA does that. But both of them get criticized because they foul bait a lot. They shoot a lot of free throws, and their game isn't super exciting. But you have a player like Wemby, who's the 7'5" alien freak who can shoot threes and then dunk on you. He can block your shot on one end, pull up for a step back three, and then block your shot again and then dunk on your center. Dude, this guy is Showtime, as Stephen A says. Showtime basketball. So why wouldn't you want him as the face of your league? So and he's French, so he's international. The NBA and all these professional sports nowadays are all about pulling in international audiences. So yeah, I think he's the front runner for the MVP, Defensive Player of the Year. I mean, he's averaging 30 plus points a game. He's also averaging 14 rebounds a game. I want to say blocks per game. He's 4.8 blocks per game. That's insane. Whoever has him on
two.
Yeah, whoever has him on fantasy, because blocks, at least in my league, are worth 3 points each. I think one game he had 8 blocks or 9 blocks. In 2 games, I want to say he had 16 blocks, which is insane. And not only that, kind of like the Rudy Gobert effect, just by him being in the paint affects players' shots. I was watching the Mavs game. That's the only game I've kind of watched of the Spurs so far this year. And you have Cooper Flag, he's a great player, 6'9". He drives to the basket. He likes to attack the basket. And he sees Wemby there, and he doesn't want to take a shot. He'll reverse pivot and then pass it out because your shot's gonna get blocked. He doesn't even have to jump. So that man is insane. Whatever those Shaolin monks did to him, it worked.
Most definitely. So what's your immediate
it'll be interesting.
Overreaction?
No, I mean, I said Wemby. I guess similar to you, I think he's front runner right now, and he's kind of the face of the league at the moment, especially with LeBron being hurt. But other than that, I guess I'll talk a little bit about my Mavs. Overreaction is they're off to another lottery season. Them playing Cooper Flag at point guard is kind of questionable. I know for the long term, I've heard people say it's the right decision because he's the future of the franchise, which I agree. But as far as how this team is constructed right now, Kyrie coming back late in the season, I don't really know about having a rookie be your point guard, especially players like Anthony Davis and these other players, Clay. They need a solid point guard to get them the ball. And honestly, you look at the Mavs roster right now without Kyrie, they don't have a solid point guard. They don't have a guy who's pretty pass first. Like D'Lo's not a pass first guy. He's a
I
scoring
was gonna
guard.
say
He's more of a shooting
my
guard
guy
than a point
D'Angelo
guard.
Russell.
No, but I like him on the team, and I think they need to play him more. There's been a couple games. I know the first few games they didn't play him like at all, and then the last game, their first win of the season, which I believe was against
New
who was it
Orleans.
against? Wasn't the
New Orleans.
New Orleans? Yeah, I mean they're having trouble. They lost to the Wizards, and they had trouble against the Pelicans, who is a bottom team in the West this year, and they played D'Lo a ton on the New Orleans game, and he went off. He had 24 points, and he can win you games. I mean, that's the reason why he's there, to win you a couple games when Kyrie's not there. So, the kind of overreaction, like I said, Cooper Flag. I wouldn't call him a bust, but at this point, he's not looking like the rookie of the year VJ Edgecombe. I think definitely is. I think that will eventually change as the season progresses. But yeah, they're right now looking like a lottery team, especially considering, everyone knows AD's health. He's eventually going to get hurt sometime during the season. He's going to miss games. He's going to load manage a little bit. So where's your offense going to come from? And so far, you've looked at their games. They have no offense, obviously. Just look at how the team's constructed. It's constructed to play defense and keep the game low scoring. But they can't even do that. If you can't hold the Wizards to like 110 points, you have an issue. So it's not looking good, Mavs fans, right now.
Most definitely. I don't know if you have any other overreactions. One of my big overreactions is with the champions from 2 years ago, the Boston Celtics. I know they lost Tatum in the playoffs to an Achilles, and they kind of somewhat blew up their team, trading Drew Holiday and Kristaps Porzingis, letting Luke Cornett go to those San Antonio Spurs with Wemby. They are, I think, 1-3, maybe even 1-4 this season. Jaylen Brown is the number
1-3.
1-3. Jaylen Brown's number one option. I believe they put the Cavs in about an hour and a half. I think the Cavs are going to blow them out, or maybe not blow them out, but I think they're going to win convincingly. Cavs were the first team I picked in our draft. And yeah, the question is Jaylen Brown a true number one, or like a player that can lead a team to the playoffs? And if not, do you try to trade him for a player that's maybe a little younger, kind of reset your timeline in anticipation for Jason Tatum coming back next season? I know he's talking about coming back this season, but on the pace they're currently going at, it really wouldn't make sense for him to come back when you're out of playoff contention.
Yeah, I mean that's a very valid overreaction. They're looking like a play-in team right now, and honestly, with how weak the East is, I still think they can be a play-in team and make a little bit of noise in the playoffs. Obviously, I don't see them going on an Eastern Conference Finals run, but like you said, JB being the kind of the number one, I've honestly at the beginning of the season predicted that. Well, I honestly thought he is better than Jason Tatum and was fully capable of leading the team. I will say one thing to kind of like back up the Celtics with their unexpected losing start to the season. First game was against the 76ers, which obviously the 76ers have at least early on proven that they're contention in the East, even without Joel Embiid. And they played the Knicks the second game, and the 76ers loss was like a 1-point loss. They played the Knicks in New York, and everyone knows how good that Knicks team is. They played the Pistons in Detroit, which the Pistons are an up-and-coming team. And with Cade Cunningham, I'd say he's a sleeper he's going to be a dark horse for MVP, in my opinion. I don't think he's necessarily going to win it, but I think he'll definitely be in the conversation. Pistons are going to get better every single year with their young core, and then their one win coming against the Pelicans. So I agree. I think the Cavs are probably going to blow them out tonight, just because the Cavs are a regular season monster. But I think Boston is kind of like the Warriors in the fact that they're more built for the postseason rather than during the regular season, especially with the way their roster is constructed. I wouldn't be surprised knowing Boston and them wanting a winning culture. They might make a few trades before the deadline. But honestly, I would be very shocked if they were to trade Jaylen Brown, unless they got a huge haul for him.
Yeah, I've just seen too many teams hold on to players. We both lived in Utah for a little bit, Utah Jazz. They just thought their players were worth so much more than what they ultimately were traded for this last offseason. They gave away Colin Sexton to the Hornets, gave away John Collins to the Clippers. So just like if you would have traded them last season or even the season before, you probably could have gotten a late first-round pick or a couple seconds, but I think they basically got nothing. So, yeah, they're in a kind of a difficult situation. Like I said, they've traded a lot of their core players that helped them win the championship. So if you can get a really good budding star, the first name that came to my head was trading him to the Hawks, getting like a Jalen Johnson, super good 3-and-D player, point guard. Can't really think of a point guard. Obviously not going to trade for Cade Cunningham. But yeah,
Trae Young. That's a name that could pop up.
I think we both agree.
Trae Young. You'd have to get a ton for Trae Young. And honestly, if they were to make that trade, I don't know how the numbers would necessarily work out, but you would probably have to get like, if I were the Celtics, I would take a Trae Young, like a first-round pick, and maybe like Onyeka Okongwu or something like that, because I think they're pretty light on the center position, especially with Al Horford leaving.
Yeah.
Who even is their starting center?
The Celtics?
Because I know, like, off the bench, yeah.
It's Keita.
Off the bench, they have
that should tell you.
Keita's their starting center. Yeah, you know they're in trouble when your starting center's Keita.
I don't know.
Yeah,
what if the Spurs came to Boston? They're in the top 4 of the Western Conference, and they offered you De'Aaron Fox or even Stephon Castle. I don't know if they'd trade Dylan Harper, but De'Aaron Fox.
Dylan Harper is good. That's the one problem. I think we can shift a little bit to the West now, and I know we want to talk a little bit about your Lakers. And Austin Reeves, man, I think he plays better without when the stars are not there, honestly. But the Spurs, they just have so many good players, especially young players, that they're not gonna. I think it'll be hard for them to find their coach to find minutes for all of them. Like Dylan Harper has shown he's a very solid player. He's ready to go. And then you have obviously De'Aaron Fox, which I don't think he's played yet. I think he's still injured. But
no,
still have him. You have reigning Rookie of the Year Stephon Castle running the point for you. So are you going to move Stephon more to the 2? I guess they did a little bit of that at the end of last year with De'Aaron playing the 1. And then you got Wemby, because obviously you want Wemby handling the ball as well. So it'll be interesting to see what they do, because they have a lot of pieces and they have a lot to work with. So you never know. They might. I do think they'll make the playoffs for sure. Maybe win 1 or 2 rounds. But I think they're still one piece away from a championship potentially.
Yeah, so that's why I said if the Spurs come calling, they want Jaylen Brown, because they kind of have those 3, point guards that you just mentioned. They say, hey, either Castle or De'Aaron Fox, and we'll throw you some picks. And Sohan, who says no?
Sure. Yeah. All right, let's go to your Lakers. Can the Lakers stay afloat without Luka and LeBron?
Yeah, I watched the game last Friday against Minnesota. Luka looked incredible. Got a chance to go to opening night against the Sixers. Not the Sixers, the Warriors. Luka also looked incredible. Offense was pretty stagnant. Friday offense was humming. Luka had 49. Reeves contributed. Rui looked good. Even low motor DeAndre Ayton, he think of 15 and 12 or something like that. Double for sure. Then like the next day, I find out Luka's going to be out 1 to 2 weeks with a finger sprain and a leg contusion. They shocked us that Sunday, beating the Kings in Sacramento, which is somewhat of a hostile environment considering our rivalry in the early 2000s. Then on a back-to-back, Trailblazers got the best of us, and we're playing the Timberwolves tonight, but they are also missing Anthony Edwards. Yeah, I think obviously Reeves, as you've seen the last couple of games, he's able to put the ball in the bucket. Somebody's got to score baskets, but I think we desperately need Luka, and who knows when LeBron's going to come back, because the lack of offensive firepower is evident. We're also missing Gabe Vincent, which is another contributing offensive player. So, yeah, I think it's too early to just completely write them off. They're 2-2, but definitely missing 2 of your best players offensively. Most definitely hurts.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think they're like somewhat similar in I will say Austin Reeves is like a way better third option to the Lakers, assuming like Luke and LeBron are kind of like your 1A, 1B, like 1-2, they can switch off. Than say like the Mavs. Obviously, they don't have Kyrie right now, but AD being like your Kyrie first option, AD second option. Like, who's your third option? Like Cooper Flag. Like, I take Austin Reeves any day, offensively for sure. But yeah, I think they're built kind of somewhat similar, but they have more of a third, like perennial. I don't know if I want to call Austin Reeves a perennial all-star. I think he could if he keeps playing the way he's playing right now. But yeah, I think they have a lot of good, interesting role players. But the big question is, and for the Lakers, like the past couple seasons, especially with LeBron out or AD out, is where does the offense come from?
Most definitely. Yeah, tonight will be an interesting matchup with, the Timberwolves missing their star player, and almost want to say Anthony Edwards, but yeah, left to be seen. I don't know if you want to transition to the NFL.
Yeah, let's go ahead. Yeah, you want to do NFL?
Yeah. So yeah, we passed the midway point. It's exciting, but also kind of sad because we're halfway done with football, which is a biggest sport in the United States, obviously. Looking at the standings, I can pull them up. While they're coming up, your Cowboys, unfortunately, the Denver Broncos got the best of them at home. Any comments on that?
Mm-hmm. No. I mean, Broncos are a good team. I mean, Cowboys are the best offense in the league, worst defense in the league, and Denver, I want to say, is up there. I don't know if they're number one in defense or not, but they always play well at home. And when you have a good defense, you're always in the game. And obviously, they exposed the fact. I didn't really watch much of that game. Actually, I don't watch any of it. But yeah, Denver just blew them out. Good old style butt kicking. So. Like I said in the last show, I was definitely I should have bet on it, but Denver was at that time it was like -3.5. I don't know what the close was, but yeah, that was definitely the move.
Yeah, I mean, I think obviously the biggest story in the league this season is the Indianapolis Colts sitting at 7-1. The resurgence, the renaissance of Danny Dimes. He has been reincarnated to Indiana Jones, and they are the highest powered offense this season. And I was a skeptic even when they were, 3-0 or 3-0, that I was like, yeah, no, the Texans will figure it out and they'll win the division, or maybe even Jacksonville. But Jonathan Taylor, probably can pencil him in for Offensive Player of the Year.
I mean, yeah, potentially. Like, I think that I saw stats like, oh, I can't remember the exact year, but it's been like 10 years or something like that since a running back has won an MVP. So, yeah, I think he's definitely on the list. I think he definitely could be Offensive Player of the Year and probably will be, especially with, I guess, I forget that there's like an Offensive Player of the Year for like each conference. So, yeah, I mean, out of that conference, the AFC, I definitely think it's his award to lose at this point, halfway through the season. But yeah, Colts have been a huge surprise. Danny Dimes, I picked him up off of waivers in my dynasty league, and he's been a great pickup. And he's only 28. People have to remember that.
Most definitely. And right behind them, you kind of look at the standings and ask yourself what year we're in, because you have Indianapolis, top of the AFC, and right behind them is the New England Patriots at 6-2. I was a big believer in Drake May. I picked him up in the fantasy league me and Mike are playing in, and he is incredible. I call him Baby Josh Allen, and they're 6-2 and top of the AFC East ahead of Buffalo.
Yeah, that's been a huge surprise. I have a coworker. He's a big Boston sports guy. So at the beginning of the year, he was just like so pissed about his Pats. Like the Pats are going to suck this year. And then ever since they started winning, I've been like, hey man, like Pats have been looking pretty good. And he's like, yeah, we're looking real good. Like, and he's like way pumped for it. So yeah, man,
most definitely.
looks good. They always have a pretty good defense. They're going to look. There's sources saying they're looking to trade for a running back, which I figured would happen. So if they get a solid
the
running
Patriots,
back, I don't know.
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You know, I wish they would play my guy Travion Henderson. I picked him very early in our fantasy league. They picked him in the second round this last draft, and they decided to keep playing Ramondre Stevenson, who I think maybe leads the league in football and fumbles as a running back. So I don't know what they're doing there. In the limited time they've given Travion Henderson, he hasn't. He's fumbled it as well, and has maybe been struggling in terms of the rush game, but he's definitely way better out of the backfield than Ramondre. And yeah, I just wish they'd play him because I just refuse to drop him. I just think that, he might be a league winner for me in the playoffs. So love to be seen. I think one of the other big stories is who is going to win the AFC West. Unfortunately, I don't think my Raiders are in contention for that. They almost lost their bye week. That should tell you a lot. But you got you got the Denver Broncos at 6-2, and the Chargers and the Chiefs right behind them at 5-3. Chargers, if the playoffs ended today, would be the higher seed because they won that week 1 game in Brazil. Mike, who do you got winning the AFC West?
That's a tough one because you can never count out the Chiefs, even though, I mean, look at Rashee Rice. Like, he comes back. He's their number 1 receiver now, which I'm kind of pissed about because I have Worthy on my fantasy team for my dynasty league. And ever since Rashee Rice has come back, like Patrick's been targeting him the whole time. So, but yeah, you can't ever count the Chiefs out. Brother Reed, who's at the helm of that Kansas City team. But at the same time, like all 3 of these teams are very well coached. In Sean Payton with the Denver Broncos, Jim Harbaugh with the Chargers, and Andy Reid with the Chiefs. So I think it will come down to quarterback play. I think the Denver Broncos are solid because they have a solid defense. But as far as I don't know what their upcoming schedule is. That'd be interesting to see. And that would
I got them right here.
Oh, perfect. So
yeah, so we got. Can you see that still?
All right, you got at Bills. Yep. Colts at Cowboys. Okay.
So yeah, they
I
have a
can see that.
tough
Obviously, that
couple.
Indianapolis team.
Yeah, they have a
Yeah, they
tough
play
next three
at
games.
Buffalo.
It lightens up. So just depending on how they do these next three games will kind of dictate, you know,
Yeah.
whether or not they win the division. Um,
Hmm.
so yeah, looking at that, then we have the Chargers next. They're a little bit easier. The Titans this week, home versus Steelers, at Jaguars, home against the Raiders, and then they kind of have a tough end of the season with the Eagles and
Yeah.
Chiefs. Then finally the Chargers. Excuse me,
This
the
is the Broncos.
Broncos are in Houston against the Texans, Raiders, Chiefs, Commanders. They playing the Raiders twice. Good chance those are 2 wins right there. Then Green Bay, Jacksonville, and then they finish the season off with those two teams they're competing with.
Those are tough. Yeah, all three of them have like pretty somewhat even schedules as far as tough teams they have to play. If I had to choose one, though, obviously, yeah, you kind of have to go with the teams with the good quarterbacks because at the end of the year, it's kind of going to what drive teams, especially towards the playoffs with a divisional spot on the line. So I think that will definitely rule out Denver. I still think Denver could potentially make it as a wild card, but I think it will come down to the Chiefs and Chargers. And what I've seen from the Chargers so far, other than that game in against Indianapolis where they totally just got blown out of the water, I like what I see from the Chargers. And Justin Herbert's had a career year, and he's dating Madison Beer. And what more can you ask for? So I think I don't know what the odds are, but I could put down some money for the Chargers winning the AFC West.
Before you place it, let me know, and I will take your money. I am a Raiders fan. I hate the Chargers. Justin Herbert has the nickname "If Man" because it's always like if so and so were to happen, or then he would be the greatest quarterback. You know, they call him a social media quarterback because he looks amazing on the highlights, but then when it comes down to when the rubber meets the road, he can't just falls flat. Like last year against the Texans. They kind of just fell apart in the second quarter, and the Texans, who had no O line and were they won their division, but at like 9-8, were able to pretty handily beat them. So if I had to put them in order, I would pick Kansas City just because they have those tough 3-game schedule coming up. Then after that, it gets a lot easier. I go Chiefs, Broncos, Chargers.
Interesting. All right. Well, we're gonna have to make that bet then.
Yeah, but I think the rest of the AFC, I think it's just a matter of seeding. If you look at the conference on the screen, Jacksonville, they just have a lot of questions. They're not going to catch Indianapolis and these 3 wildcard teams, Buffalo, Chargers, Chiefs, and they're going to outperform the Jags. So it's really just a matter of seeding. I think these are probably the 7 teams that will make the playoffs in the AFC. Maybe Baltimore, with Lamar Jackson coming back, can make a run and supplant the Pittsburgh Steelers, but that's left to be seen. I know they are playing tomorrow night in Miami against the Dolphins, so we'll see how he looks after missing a couple weeks.
Yep, they say he says he's 100% healthy, so hopefully we see that old school Lamar Jackson because he's on my fantasy team. Trying to win some money. All right.
Definitely.
I need to be wrapping up here soon. So,
all right.
Did you want to hit like a touch on the World Series?
Yeah. I mean, World Series Game 5 tonight. It's Blake Snell versus Trey Savage, the rookie. I wouldn't say phenom, but he kind of came alive at the end of the season and in the playoffs. Started Game 1 for them against Snell, and they got the best of us that game, but it was in Toronto. This one's in LA, their last home game of the season. Yeah, I think Blake Snell will come out and have a lot better of a game than he had in Game 1. I don't know if he'll be exactly the same as the starts prior to that in the playoffs, where he almost won a complete game and had a sub-1 ERA. But yeah, I think the question is just with the Dodgers bats. I went to the game last night. Shohei and the box score will show 4 earned runs, but 2 of those runs he left them on base, so he was responsible for them, and that came in the 7th inning. I wish they would have pulled him after the 6th inning, personally, but when you have a bullpen kind of like ours, you're going to run the starter as long as he is able to go. Once he came in after leaving a guy on 2nd and 3rd, our bullpen came in and gave up the 2 runs that he was responsible for, as well as an additional 2, and the game was kind of out of reach. But after the 6th inning, scores 2, your starting pitcher and designated hitter, superstar, face the MLB, puts you in a spot down 1 run, or only allows the other team to score 2 runs, and off of Vladimir Guerrero home run, so just 1 mistake, and we can only put up 1 run. It's pretty concerning. I saw the lineup today, and it looks like Dave Roberts has pulled Andy Pages from center field from the lineup, and is going to start Alex Call in left field, moving Kike to center, as well as adjusting the lineup slightly, moving Will Smith to the 2 hole and moving everyone else down a spot. To say I'm nervous would be a true statement. If we don't win this game, to win 2 in Toronto, it will be tough. But the way I see it is, tonight in Game 6, we have Blake Snell and Yoshinobu Yamamoto going in Game 6. You can't really ask for a better next 2 games. So hopefully Snell is able to take care of business, and Mike's countryman Yamamoto can have a similar game that he's had the whole playoffs.
Yep. What a series it has been, and rooting for my fellow Japanese guys. So I'm for the Dodgers here. All right. I don't think we have time to go through the NBA Cup and maybe winning each group. Maybe we just go through notable NFL games and some good picks for it.
Yeah. Either works. I mean, pulling up the Cup is pretty easy, but if you want to go NFL, we can do that.
I just only have time probably for one of them.
Yeah, so just pick which one.
Let's do it. Let's do NBA, because the Cup is always really interesting.
All right, NBA Cup. I got it up right here. Let me know when it pops up.
Yeah.
So I know this is probably year 2 or maybe year 3 of the NBA Cup.
No, year 3, the Emirates Cup.
Yeah, because the Lakers won the first year, then the Bucks won last year. Basically there's 6 groups, 3 in each conference. Every team will play the teams in their group once. It's based off a record. Tiebreaker is point differential, so kind of like soccer. So whoever wins their group automatically advances, and then there's 2 wildcard teams, 1 in each conference. So whoever, the 2nd seed in Group A, let's say it's the Atlanta Hawks, if they have the best record and highest point differential in comparison to other teams, they make the knockout round, as they say. So Group A, I think it's pretty obvious. I would Cavs, right?
I agree.
Group B, Detroit or 76ers.
I'd say you have to say Philly's probably the favorite right now, but I would say I would probably say Philly's the favorite to win, but a dark horse would be Pistons. And even if Philly wins that group, I easily think Detroit could be a wild card.
Yeah, and Group C is no slouch as well. I feel like other than Charlotte,
I think Group C is probably the toughest group.
the group of death, as they say in World Cup groupings. But yeah, if I had to pick, I would probably, I don't know, I want to say Knicks, but I saw what Giannis did to the Knicks at home, saying this is my city, and 37 points. Didn't get a double-double, but has just been on a torrid pace. I would say give me the Bucks to win Group C.
Interesting. I'll go with my Knicks because I have them for wins.
Okay. So then, who do you think will be the wild card out of the East?
I think assuming the Sixers win Group B, I think Pistons will be one of the wild cards. And if I had to pick another wild card, probably the Bucks.
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, I think I can go either way. I'm gonna pick the Bucks, but if the Knicks win, I won't be shocked. So I think it will probably come down to Detroit or Milwaukee. And just because Group B is a little smaller, I'm gonna pick Detroit to sneak in and be the wild card. Western Conference, Group A, Oklahoma City, especially with no Anthony Edwards. I feel like that's a pretty obvious pick. Phoenix has looked really bad. And the Jazz, although
Phoenix Jazz are looking decent, but I mean they're the Jazz. I don't think they compared to the OKC Thunder. And then Sacramento Kings are probably one of the worst teams in the West, honestly.
Yeah, we beat them with just Austin Reeves. That should tell you a lot.
Yeah.
Group B, it's interesting because Lakers are without their 2 stars. Dallas it's coming out slow out of the gates. I'd probably pick the Clippers, even though they've kind of been slow as well.
Yeah, I mean that whole group is kind of like anyone could. I honestly I wouldn't be surprised if Memphis kind of slips in there potentially. You know how and the interesting thing about the Cup is all these teams, especially the teams that aren't very good, they get up for these Cup games, whether on Tuesdays and Fridays or whatever the dates are. They get up for these Cup games, and so don't be surprised if someone like maybe the Pelicans or the Grizzlies, especially in this group, make it out of the group.
Cool. And just like Group C in the East, Group C in the West, looks like it's the toughest one. Houston, start off 0-2, but they're a super talented team. I know you picked Portland's losses, but I'm telling you, Portland is a sneaky team. They are good. They got a lot of solid players, and they got rid of Chauncey Billups from fixing their games. So that is a tough group. I'm going to just go with Denver. I think Denver, I'm picking them to win the West. I know they're starting off slow. Oklahoma City has 5 wins, but I think Denver will win that group.
Interesting. Give me Wemby. Give me the alien. I think they have one of the best overall teams as far as playing wise. Especially when De'Aaron Fox comes back, it'll be interesting. Like I said, how their coach manages their minutes. But I would love to see the Denver the Jokic Wemby matchup, because I don't think Wemby can guard Jokic, and I don't think obviously Jokic cannot guard Wemby. So I'm gonna go with the fun team. Adam Silver is gonna want the face of the league in the Cup, especially in the knockout rounds. So you never know; he might fix a couple of games for him.
Sweet. And yeah, I would probably pick my wild card. I'd pick my wild card team coming out of Group C, so I'd probably pick the Spurs.
We'll go ahead and wrap up there unless you have.
No.
Okay. Yeah, wild card. I mean, if I had to choose a wild card, if it's not going to be, it's probably going to be out of Group C. So I'd probably say, I don't know, I might go with someone like the Rockets. I think they have something to prove, especially after the slow start. Yeah, I think their team, other than KD, is relatively young, and they'll get excited for these games.
All right, so you got the Rockets. I got the Spurs.
Well, go ahead and wrap it up there. Yeah. Well, we might put some money on it. We'll see. All right. Anything else before we close?
Dodgers in 6.
Oh, we might have lost Spencer.
Hello?
Oh, I think I lost you for a second.
Oh.
Yeah. Can you
Yeah,
hear
it's
me?
getting a little spotty. I'm just saying, yeah, Dodgers in 6. Hopefully we take care of business tonight and close it out with Yamamoto. Hello?
Sorry. I think my connection is kind of bad, but yeah. Hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, I think it's on my end. But yeah, if you have anything else to add, I know you said something about the Dodgers in 6.
Yeah, no,
but,
just Dodgers in
other than that-
6.
All right. Have another good week of sports. I think next week, probably have like more like on the betting side of stuff. We can do a better job of adding that. Maybe some stuff we bet. Yeah, over the weekend, we'll let you all know. Follow me on X and keep in tune for next week.
All right. See you guys later.
Peace.